overview of the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So this third chapter is an essential chapter because in the beginning of this chapter, Lord Krishna starts to explain how to act as spirit soul and not as the body. Acting as a spirit soul means acting in devotional service, in our relationship with Krishna. That acting as a body means acting for I and mind, that thinking that we are the bodies. So in the beginning of this chapter, Arjuna is asking a question. He said to Krishna, you asked me to renounce, but at the same time, you asked me to fight. So Arjuna did not understand that action in Krishna consciousness is non-reactive. You don't get karma, no reactions. But it is action. Action in a renounced way. Renounced means that one is not attached to the results of one's work. One works for the pleasure of Krishna. Whether the result is good or bad or whatever we think about the results, that's not our business. We try our best to get the best result, that's all. But we act not out of attachment for anything in this world, but out of attachment for Krishna. That's the basis of Krishna consciousness. And that's explained in this chapter. So then, but after Arjuna is asking this question, then Krishna, the first thing he says, oh Arjuna, even to live, you have to act, because you need food, you need to work, you need to do something to get food and so on. So you must act. And that's natural, Krishna says, because the soul cannot be inactive. The spirit soul, what's the activity of the spirit soul? Is desiring. So we cannot be without desire. Not possible. But Krishna consciousness is about redirecting our desires. Material desire means a desire for sense gratification, for enjoyment of this body and mind. But we have to get rid of all these desires and come to the pure desire of the soul, which is to please Krishna. That's devotional service. So Krishna says, even to exist, you must act, and it's natural for the soul to be active. So best to act for without being attached to the results. Then Krishna says, don't be a mithya-char, a cheater. A cheater is the yogi who looks very renounced, but inwards thinks of sense gratification. So you have many so-called yogis, big show of yogic practice, and then after that they are going to smoke a bidi. That is a pretender, that's all. The Krishna says, don't be a pretender. Yes, you are still attached to things in this world, but you try your best to act without being attached to the results, and then you will become purified. It's a gradual process. Because with an impure heart, you cannot be a yogi. That's not possible. You must first purify your heart. then when you are feeling renounced, then you can practice yoga and go inside and meditate. Otherwise, you cannot meditate on the self, on Krishna in your heart. You will meditate on sense gratification and making plans to enjoy in this world. That okay. That so then Krishna comes to the point. He said, you have to do everything in your life as a sacrifice for me, as a sacrifice for Vishnu. And when you do that, you don't have karma. So if we act for the pleasure of Krishna in devotional service, first, you don't have karma. The second is, we have learned that you develop jnana, knowledge. This is realized knowledge, that we will hear more details in the 10th chapter, where Krishna says, Tesham satriknam bacham purvakam, tadami buddhiyam tam yenamam upayantati. If you serve him with love, I give you Buddha Yoga, self-realized knowledge to the heart. And that Buddha Yoga is real, we realize we are not this body. That I remember 30 years ago when I started to chant Hare Krishna mantra, 16 rounds. Even after a few days, I could feel I'm different from this body. That's the power of the chanting. Of course, you can feel that, but then you have to realize it. That's something else. So Krishna says to us, do everything as a sacrifice for me. Because if you don't act as a sacrifice for me, you get reactions, karma, and you get entangled. So, because Krishna says then, if you don't act as a sacrifice for me, do everything, give everything to me, then you are a stena, a thief, and you will be arrested by the material nature. If you do things for a sacrifice for Krishna, then you do it for yourself, for the body. And that's I and mine. That's using another's property for your benefit. Because everything belongs to Krishna. If we use what's for Krishna for ourselves, we are a thief and you are arrested. And thief means you get punishment by material nature. And that reaction will come. Srila Prabhupada speaks about the stringent laws of material nature. These laws you cannot change. It's not possible that you will get reactions. That if someone does sinful activities, what are sinful activities? Sinful activities are activities not mentioned in the scriptures. They are the cause of suffering, these activities. And all activities not done in Krishna consciousness will get reactions. Good or bad, they are all bad. Because if you get good reactions, okay, you get happiness for the body in your next life. Is that good? No, because you have to take birth again and die again. Is that not suffering? So the so-called good reactions are also bad reactions. And we see that today, coronavirus, so many things, people are suffering like anything. All in self-isolation in there. That people are suffering. And that's because they did not perform sacrifice for Krishna. You must start with respecting that everything belongs to Krishna. And because he's the proprietor, Bhaktaram Sakatarsam Sarvalokamashvadam, Krishna says, I'm the proprietor of everything, of all planets. And therefore I'm the enjoyer because I'm the proprietor. So Krishna consciousness means acting for the pleasure of Krishna. And then you become purified. And then you feel ecstasy at the end when you become purified. You get spiritual happiness, the happiness of the soul. Happiness of the soul is different from the happiness of the body. The happiness of the soul is eternal. The happiness of the body is very temporary. Just a few moments. You eat, you have a good meal, belly full, yes, you feel good. And a few hours later, again eating. If you think I'm very beautiful, look in the mirror 40 years later, it's ugly. No, it's all temporary in this world. But eternal, we are an eternal soul, and we have an original spiritual body. And Krishna is explaining the process how to purify us so that we get back our natural state. Our natural state is we always feeling blissful. So then Lord Krishna said, just that in 3:13 he said, you have to offer all your food to me. If you don't offer your food to me, then you eat pure sin. You will be responsible for the killing of plants, for the killing of animals, for those who eat meat. You will be responsible, and you get heavy reactions. So you eat pure sin. You should offer your food to me before. Have any important instructions. Because if you offer the food to Krishna, with a little love, Krishna accepts it, and it becomes spiritual. And by eating that food, our heart becomes purified. But then Krishna explains, yes, this is the sacrifices to be done, because there is a cycle of sacrifice that shows how everything comes from me. He said, you have a body, Arjuna, and the body depends on food. The body is made of earth, food that we eat, and the body grows and is maintained. So it's practically transformed food. So therefore, if we always eat spiritual food, healthy, our body becomes spiritualized. So, and food, Krishna says, depends mainly on grains. Grain is the main thing, because even the animals which meat eaters eat, they eat grains. Otherwise, they cannot be there. It depends on grains. And grains, Krishna says, depends on water. Without water, they cannot grow. And water depends on sacrifice. Otherwise, it will not rain, or it will not rain proper. Too much also, that's a problem. But it depends on jagya, rains. And jagya, what is jagya? What Krishna says? Jagya is doing one's prescribed duties. What one must do according to the scripture. And Krishna explains here the essence of prescribed duty. You must do everything as a sacrifice for me. And these scriptures, these instructions, Krishna says, they come from me. So from Krishna comes the scriptures. By that we now prescribe duties. We perform prescribed duties. This is jahya. By that proper rain comes, grain grows, we can eat, we have food, and then we perform again jahya. It's a cycle. And that is what we have explained last time, that's because people, when they perform sacrifice to the demigods and Krishna, then nature reciprocates. It gives what we need in abundance, whatever we need. That there is a cooperation. If one is going to exploit the world, like anything, for one's own sense gratification, then generally the earth withdraw its resources, and the earth will cause great reactions and try to rectify it. See some coronavirus and we see how nature start to revive, less exploitation everywhere. I read in Wales, all the sheep come on the street now. It's very beautiful. That I think because suddenly this gross exploitation stops. And the earth forces to stop it when it goes too far. And that we can see that these are laws of material nature. That then there will be scarcity if they exploit. That scarcity is created artificial by human beings. You see, there is practically no food in the shops because everyone starts to hamster because big crisis is coming. That we have seen in England, they were fighting and their house full of food, and one week later, all the bread they couldn't eat, they have to throw it away. It's just craziness. It's scarcity is created by exploitation. That is 34% of all wealth of the world is in the hands of 300 people. Can you imagine? It's just crazy that this is not a Krishna had established a Varnashram Dharma system of 4 classes, which is a peaceful society wherein everyone is protected. The Kshatriyas protect everyone. No worries about that. Food is given to everyone, to the Vaishyas. Education is free by the Brahmins. That's a peaceful society. That this society is crazy and so complicated. So because people don't see that, people today, they see only the enjoyment, now enjoying. But they don't see the bigger picture. They don't see that if they act selfish, that they will get reactions in future lives and suffer tremendously. And they don't see the bigger picture, that Krishna is behind everyone. There's a higher nature, a divine nature which arranges everything. And it's clear that divine nature is in control. We are not in control. If we would be in control, we want happiness in our life, we would get happiness, but we get also a distress. And we don't want this stress. This stress is a reaction of our karma, previous karma. That's the bigger picture. Now, that was where we ended last time. And now we can text 3:16. Evam pravartitam chakram naunu vartayatiyara. Agayur indriyara moham parta sajivati. That's 3:16. My dear Arjun, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin, living only for the satisfaction of the senses. Such a person lives in vain. And Baladev Vidyabhushan, one of our previous commentators, says the same. It's on the screen here. He who does not follow the cycle initiated in this way by the Lord, but instead leads a life of sin and joining with his senses, lives in vain. And that's what most people do. They live for nothing. They try to give pleasure to a body which they are not, and spend their own life for that. And they die without knowing who they really are. A spirit soul different from the body. They did this animal life. And they remain in the cycle of birth and death. They live for nothing. But we should not live for nothing. We should live to make spiritual advancement and come out of this insanity and realize who we really are. And learn how to control our senses by doing this sacrifice. Next slide. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purple. For those who want to enjoy the material world, the cycle of performing jahyas is absolutely necessary. So that's spiritual enjoyment. If you eat prasad offered to the deities, that's very nicely prepared, even if you were a meat eater before, you don't want to eat that anymore. You get a higher taste. And so by eating this nice prasadam offered to the Lord, we enjoy more than before. But we should not live for this enjoyment. The food is meant to keep our body and soul together and to use the body in the service of Krishna. So the prosperity of the world depends not on our own efforts, but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord, directly carried out by the demigods. So the prosperity of the world does not depend on us. Can someone create a cauliflower? No, you need a seed and plant it. Where does the seed come? Material nature. Material nature is controlled by Krishna. Krishna says, I'm the original seed of everything. So material nature created under the control of the Supreme Lord. Next one. The Jagya system is planned in such a way that sensory conscious persons may satisfy their desires without becoming entangled in the reaction of sense gratificatory work. By performing Jagya, one does not become Krishna conscious. Such principles are counted as only moral codes. So this should be very clear. We should act to become God conscious, to understand what's really going on, and to realize what's going on. That it's not just doing sacrifice to enjoy, in the Vedas, there are many sacrifices to the Lord which are there for enjoyment. It's called karma kanda. That we should not do this sacrifice to get this higher material enjoyment. That's not good. Then it's, but still, those who follow that, they are morally okay. Morally, they're acting fine. But it's not the idea to act morally. They respect, yes, everything comes from God, and we offer it to Him. But the purpose is to become purified, to make spiritual advancement, not to enjoy the results of our Krishna conscious activities. That's not good. That's also in the chanting of the holy name. You have the 8th offense. 8th offense against holy name is to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic ceremonies in the Vedas known as karma kanda. So we should not chant Hare Krishna to become rich, to become big controllers, to get a new car. No, that's an offense against holy name. It's not, this Shakya is meant to purify our heart. Not to get higher enjoyment and still remain attached. That's a problem. So if by performing Zakya one does not become Krishna conscious, such principles are counted as only moral codes. Like we offer our food to Krishna, right? And then it becomes prasad. But then when we don't, devotees don't say that they eat prasad, they honor prasad. Honoring prasad, and I think Prahlad Nanamaraj always explains that very nicely. He said, if we honor prasad, first we should take a shower. That we are clean, that we are in goodness, and where we offer the prasad, but when we honor the prasad, eating the prasad, the place should be very clean and peaceful. And we should not speak while eating, but taste it very nicely. It should become a meditation on Krishna, honoring prasad. You taste the food and you meditate how the deity has tasted this food. That is honoring prasad. We don't eat prasad. And it's not like, oh, the prasad, I'm hungry, I'm going to conquer it. No, peaceful. And that will purify your heart further. When it's conscious, this has been offered to the Lord, and that will purify me. That if we just eat for our sense gratification, then we fall in that category practically. It becomes moral code. Yes, we offer it to Krishna, then we can eat. No, eating should also be done only to keep body and soul together. Not eating out of lust. One must control. When one feels, oh, I've enough, one should stop. That. If one eats more out of lust, and that you can ask our health specialist, that will cause disease, right? Yeah. Yeah. So some reflections. First question is, why do I live? Sense gratificators, they think, yeah, I live to enjoy this body. because they think you live only once, enjoy. But that's not reality. You have gone through so many lives and to so many troubles. You have got so many husbands and wives and so many children to which you were attached, and children would eat nonsense because you so much trouble. All karmic reactions from the past. And this life is the same thing, we must be honest. It's all the same thing. We have to stop this. We stop this by following this chakra. Understand, why do I live? I live to get out of this terrible world. This world, Krishna says, is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. That it's full of misery and it's temporary. That's what Krishna says. You may have another opinion, right? But that's what Krishna says. Krishna represents the absolute truth, and you will see it is correct. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. You have this body, you get older, so many diseases come. You have to follow cures and help things. And some help, some temporary and don't, others don't. Other things don't help much. And some things you can improve, some things improve. But finally the body has to die. And the body can, before the body dies, it becomes diseased. You cannot avoid it. It's all the future of the body. But that's thinking about the body is very pessimistic. That because you can say, oh, everything will be all right. But that's an illusion, it will not. Optimistic is what Krishna says, not Tvevam Chatunasham Natvam Nebicanatigam Nashivasha Bhavishma Savavaya Atapam. In the beginning of the second chapter, Krishna says to the kings, to Arjuna, say, oh Arjuna, you and all these kings here and me have existed in the past, and they will never cease to exist. So the spirit soul is eternal. And that's the good news. The bad news is we think we are this body who dies, but the soul does not die. That it's just an imagination of the mind. The body dies and I'm finished. We are not finished. You go to the next destination, according to the consciousness at the time of death. So why do I live? We should live for self-realization and not be lazy in it, very actively. That's, do we live for a life of enjoying the senses, mind and body, or for attaining self-realization and experiencing eternal happiness? The choice is to us, all of us. Krishna does not interfere with that choice. You choose yourself. 3:17. That 3:17. Yastvatmiratre vasya atma tripta samanava atmaneva sasantustas tasya karamam navidyate. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully saturated, for him there is no duty. So that's what we call here the journey within. Just realizing that we are an eternal spirit soul. But we can't realize that as long as our heart is full of attraction for things in this world, lust, anger, greed, and so on. That, so we should become attracted to our real self. And we are on the spiritual platform, we are all beautiful personalities. And that beauty is reflected through this material way, in nature, in a perverse way. That when we realize that we are different from this body, like I explained yesterday, I think, or the day before, then we become the observer. Krishna says, I'm the doer in this material world through material nature. And we learn to tolerate. We tolerate so-called happiness and distress. seminar-ch3part3, yeah. It is this verse of the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita that this is 4th chapter. You just need the first word. Yeah. Na prasit priyam prapya novichet prapya sabriyam stirabadura samudurvam vidbamanistita. And the self-realized person, when he sees something that gives happiness to the body, that is pleasant, he doesn't become enthusiastic. He's not much interested. And if something unpleasant for the body comes, it doesn't lament. It's not too much disturbed. Right? And that's called stirabuddhir, steady intelligence. Then you have understood I'm not his body. Otherwise, you cannot do that. You need some realization to do that. And that comes by following sadhana, by following Krishna's instruction. And then we become attracted to our real self. And we understand we suffer because we are absorbing in the film of the mind. We are identifying with this mind. Which is because we see the world to the mind. What we perceive is limited to our senses. Some people think what I perceive, that's the reality. But we don't have the senses even to perceive material nature. Only a small range. What can you see? You can see in the range between red and violet. Infrared you can see with your eyes, but it's there. Ultraviolet is also there, we cannot see it. But between in range we can see. Yeah, you can, it's the same with hearing. We can't hear the ultrasonic. We can also not hear the subsonic. Also only a range. Yeah. Yeah. Yesterday we spoke of Jatayu and his brother Sampati. Sampati has sharp eyes. He could see much more than we. That these eagles can see a prey from high and conk. They have such a sharp sight that we don't have that. So we are limited what we can perceive in this world. But the materialistic blind person say, I believe only what I see. I believe only in gross matter. But we cannot even see our mind. The experience you are thinking, yeah? Can you see your mind? No. And the Atma is more subtle. To perceive our real self, we have to go within. And to go within, to meditate, your mind must not be disturbed. You close your eyes and you try to think just on Krishna's form. How long can you do that? Your material desires will bring you quickly to something, to think of something else. And same with the Atma, but once one becomes spiritually advanced, One feels Krishna in the heart, direct contact. Every moment, it's just ecstatic. And one sees one's own self also. And then you don't have any you don't need to perform these prescribed duties anymore. Because the prescribed duties are meant to purify us from this material contamination. But we will see in the next verses that a self-realized soul will still do his duties externally, but internally he will be with Krishna, always. But he will do externally his duties, although he does not need to do it for purification. He does not need to do it. Why does he do it? To give the example to others, for preaching, practically. So that's the human who is attracted to the Atma, satisfied in the Atma, and completely pleased with the Atma alone because of its qualities, has no need of performing prescribed duties or seeing the Atma. Next is a commentary of wistfulness. The human who is attracted to the Atma, who is satisfied in the Atma, and completely satisfied with the Atma alone, has nothing to do in regards of fulfilling desires. Because he's enjoying in the self, is blissful by realization of the bliss of the Atma. He does not engage at all in the pleasure of material objects. So such a person, he sees gold and pebbles in this world are the same. He's not interested in this world in anything material anymore. He feels so joyful inside that he got a higher taste of spiritual life. And he lost a lower taste to give pleasure to this body. Srila Prabhupada writes, such a person in Krishna consciousness is no longer interested in material activities and no longer take pleasure in material arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuations. So that we have explained. Yeah? Reflection. Fulfilling material desires is a cause of dissatisfaction. So you want to enjoy something in this world. What's the result? Avitam jnanam etena jnana nityavarna kamrupena kantiya dushprananalinasa. The first result is it covers your intelligence. You think you are this body, and it makes that thinking more, that self-identification with a material body stronger. And one wants to enjoy more and more in this world. But the enjoyment, the result is very temporary. It's very temporary, and it doesn't give real satisfaction. But due to illusion, one wants more. So someone asked a billionaire, you have $1 billion, what do you want? He said, I want $2 million. One never satisfied. And one complains always. You see this at the left side here, the complainer. Everyone in this world is complaining. You go to the internet, it's all about complaining one after another. But then, at the other side, gratitude, no one is there. No one feels satisfied in this world. Because you can only be satisfied when we don't have material desires. That's the cause of our dissatisfaction. So therefore, engagement in devotional service removes our material desires and is a cause of transcendental satisfaction and bliss. So then the question is, what does that mean in my life? What am I, after hearing this knowledge, what am I going to do? I go out here and breakfast, enjoy. I forget about it. Nice to hear that I'm not a body. Yeah. No, we have to meditate on Krishna's instructions, how to realize this bliss internal. And we can realize this through this process of jhaya. And jhaya in this age is very easy to perform. Just by the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. By this chanting, it cleanses the heart if you have the proper attitude. And to get the proper attitude, we must hear Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. That will change our inner attitude. Any questions? Okay. We'll continue tomorrow with verse 18 and hear what Krishna tells us further. Thank you very much. Shantara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.